everyone.
Hi everyone, welcome. We are live, yay, everything's on.
We are live, and yet I'm looking at the other screen, and every single time this happens, it says going live in 0 seconds, and then it doesn't go live, and I have to refresh, and it freaks me out that it's not working. So
Is it?
if it's working, yeah, I think it is. So please let us know.
Tell us on Facebook.
Yeah, tell us that you can see us, because it's not telling me that it's live. And
I'm going to bring it up on this side as well.
Yeah,
we are live.
No,
yeah,
okay, it's working.
There we go.
Okay,
cool.
You've got to mute that though, otherwise I can hear 17 people talking.
Yeah, it's all. So hello everyone. I'm Clare Ems, one of the co-founders of the Conscious Parenting Association South Africa with Jess. We've just had a 1 month long summit. This is our final talk, although we are going to announce a bonus talk that's going to be happening next week. But yeah, so for now, we just wanted, some of you are new because we haven't done a teacher talk before. The reason we started this association is because so many of us, the founders and founding members, are just so, this is the work we love doing, and we want to help parents and teachers and anyone who works with children, just to find more conscious ways of working with kids to help them and to help the children. Yeah. Is there anything to add, Jess, on that note?
Well, I think, we were having a conversation earlier today and we were talking about, what this whole consciousness thing is. And, there's this idea of, a lot of people want to be perfect. A lot of people want to do it right. And it's not about right or wrong. We are all going to make mistakes. And the choices that we make, we'll never know if they were exactly right or exactly wrong, basically. And even if you choose something that you probably might even know is wrong, being conscious of it gives you the opportunity to really think, okay, I'm doing something that, like, for example, I've given my child a lot of sugar today. Now, I know that they're going to have a sugar crash, and I know that sugar is not super healthy. I know that. But it was what I had to do today because I had to do something else, right? That doesn't mean that every single day I'm going to give them massive amounts of sugar. Today was a choice, and it has ramifications. So I'm probably going to have to deal with that sugar crash later, and that's okay. I'm also, because I'm now conscious of it, not going to blame my child for their crash. I'm going to hopefully preempt the crash and be a little bit more kind, a little bit more accepting, because I know that this is what's going to happen. And there's little things like that. So it's not about doing things in a certain way. It's just acknowledging the moment, acknowledging the present, acknowledging your choices. And when you're not sure of what that choice should be, seeking some help, seeking some support, finding it from someone, and then knowing that there are options. So that's where I think the consciousness really comes in, and that filters into the parenting, the teaching, every single choice that we make, whether it is what doctor we choose to send out, to what pediatrician we choose, everything that we decide. If you decide it consciously, then you can make a better informed decision. And then even if it is a mistake, go, okay, I can learn from that. And that's great, because mistakes are great opportunities to learn.
Yeah. And I think that sums up pretty much what we are aiming for, just to create that consciousness throughout our lives. But yeah, today it's teachers. So I'm excited because I myself was a teacher, and I still feel like I'm a teacher. I don't think you ever stop feeling like a teacher once you've been one. I wanted to just mention as well that we're going to be opening up the association for membership so people can join. Teachers, parent coaches, occupational therapists, speech therapists, anyone who works with children. We just want to come together as a network of people who care about our children and care about the future of the children in South Africa. So that's the one thing. And then we'll be opening a new Facebook group next week for us to all come together and support each other, parents, teachers, whoever. Yeah. Oh, and the last thing before we start our talk is we're looking at doing CPD points, or doing courses for CPD points, probably starting next year. We're in the process of getting that all underway. So we will be contacting you if you're interested in that for your school and for your teachers. Yeah. And that's it from my side before we start. Is there anything else from your side, Jess?
Yeah, no, I'm going to bring on our lovely ladies for today. And I hope you guys have a wonderful chat. See you a bit later.
Okay. Okay. We just bring our guests on. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi, welcome back. Okay, so Megs and Anna are both founding members on the CPASA, and they've both been on talks already, but maybe some of you are new because you're teachers, so you haven't seen us before, but they're here. So yeah, we'll do a little intro in a sec. First thing I wanted to mention is that we're going to be having prizes right at the end. So stay right till the end to hear, because you might win one of those prizes, and we'll tell you shortly what they are. But first, let's just do a quick intro and say who we are and why we're here. So Megs, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I'm Megs. I I have a background in education and psychology, and I'm currently doing parent coaching, and I'm just like super passionate about journeying with families, just to create a family that works for them, that is calm and positive. And I taught for 8 years, and so I'm also just super passionate about journeying with teachers to get them into a space that is manageable for them, because teaching is it's intense. So I think I'm just very passionate about working alongside teachers as well, just to get them into a space that is good for them.
Yeah, thanks, Megs. And Anna, can you tell us about yourself?
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm the founder of Elite Ed. I'm an instructional and curriculum coach. I'm currently working in the UAE, but I'm returning to South Africa in July because I'm absolutely passionate about teaching, but student growth and just helping kids come to their full potential. And I've learned so much over here that I think I have a lot to offer.
Thanks, Anna. I'm excited to see what I can learn from you, actually. So, yeah, that's exciting. Okay, and then before I tell you who I am, because I'm also going to be talking a little bit today, I just wanted to remind you all that you can comment in the comment section, give us your ideas, give us questions. This is a discussion, so we really want you to feel like you're involved. So I'm Claire, as I said in the beginning. My background was actually education, so I studied teaching, and I taught for 7 years. And I realized after I became a mom and then I became a parent coach, there was more to education than I had seen myself when I was teaching. And that's what I'm hoping to learn about myself and then to spread to others, because I can see a brighter future. And I think although we're doing so much right, I think and I don't like saying right or wrong, but we're doing so much good out there already for our kids. I hope we can just add to it. And by having discussions like this. Yeah, okay. So to start with, we're gonna talk with Megs a bit about the teacher wellness to start with, because as we've all known, this year has been a hectic year for parents, teachers, everyone. We're going to chat a little bit about teacher wellness and how it actually affects teachers in the classroom and that all important engagement that we're talking about today. So Megs, I'll hand over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Claire. So actually, the first thing I want to say is just something that just came to mind while I was listening to Jess talk now when she was introducing herself. And I just thought, everybody says, and it's like quite a well-known sort of little thing at the moment, is that being a mom is like one of the toughest, most grueling, most intense, most full-time, most full-on, but yet most rewarding jobs there is, right? And I just actually had this epiphany that being a teacher is pretty much the closest career that you're ever going to have to that is like being a mom, right? So I mean, we're sitting here, we 3 teachers, and we are all acutely aware of the intensity that comes with teaching. It's a wonderful job. It's the best job. Teaching is a calling, and we all absolutely love it, right? But at the same time, it is full on, and it's not a half day job like people say, and it's not you sort of go to bed with your kids in your head and wake up with your kids in your head, and they're in your heart, and they become part of your family from the moment they step into your class, right? So I think that's really massive, and because of that, I think that it would be remiss of us not to discuss the fact that so the teaching is intense, but I mean this past year has been on a whole different level, I think, for all humans, and I think for teachers it has just been that much more intense and hectic and grueling. And so it's important, I think, right now to address teachers' wellness and whether or not they're actually looking after themselves. Because at the end of the day, as is with parenting, if you're not in a good space yourself as a teacher, it's going to be very, very difficult to be effective in the classroom and to connect with your kids in your classroom, right? So I think it's just important. So we did a talk on wellness, and so you guys can go back and watch that one on the Conscious Parenting Association Facebook page if you want to listen to more of what we had to say about sort of taking care of yourself. But I think it's important just right now as a teacher to step back and just say, am I taking care of myself? What am I doing in my life or in my weeks that is just nourishing myself and feeding myself? Because in order to be effective in your classroom, you need to be taking care of you first. And it's really, it's not selfish. It's necessary to be a good and effective teacher. We
can't fill from an empty cup.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Right? Exactly. No, that's absolutely right.
So true.
Yeah. And so you need to be making sure that you're taking care of yourself and that is a priority for you. And that takes me on to my next point of connecting. You can't connect with your kids in your class if you're not taking care of yourself, but also it's important to connect with your kids in your class in terms of getting their engagement up, right? Because that's also why we're here. We want to chat about increasing classroom engagement. So what I also want to chat to you about is first thing in the morning, your bell rings and all your kids come streaming in from outside and they all sit at their desks or on the carpet or whatever it is. And we just as teachers kind of assume that they're ready to learn. And we often would jump right in, and we need to sometimes pause and wonder where they're at, where have they come from, what has their morning been like? Has it been a rush? Has it been calm? Have they had to eat breakfast in the car on the way because they've overslept? We don't know. And so we need to, like what I always like to think of doing in a perfect world, and this is not to put more stress on you guys. Like, I have to just do a disclaimer that I'm not saying like you need to do all these extra things to connect with your class. It's also for you. It's so that you guys can come into class together and actually get into the moment. So like I used to find really simple things like doing a breathing exercise before starting class, just a few deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, or doing some auditory listening exercises with them. We're just getting everybody to be really quiet. What can we hear? What can we hear outside? What can we hear in the class? Just bringing the kids into the moment. Bringing them into the moment and just getting, their minds in the right space to actually be open to listening to you. And
I think it's something we do forget. Because you've got so much else on your mind.
Absolutely. And as a teacher, there's always many things that you have to get through in the day. Yes, you have to get through all these things in your curriculum and all the admin and all the stuff. And we often just sort of jump right in and just expect the kids to be right there and ready to go with us. Whereas, I mean, as we know, as adults, if we have a bad morning, it's not always easy to get on that level of
I was just going to say that rushing into it's almost counterproductive, because if you don't create that space and you don't create the mindset for them to learn, whatever it is you're going to be trying to throw at them, it's not gonna land.
Absolutely.
No, it's true. Thanks, Megs. I can resonate so much with all of that, even just in terms of parenting, because it's the same thing. If we're not in a good space ourselves and our kids aren't feeling that we are, then it's almost pointless to even start because you need to, the kids will feel it and you'll feel it. And you almost need to take those 5 minutes, even if it feels like a waste of time, just to like center yourself. And I know how much that can help with the engagement part, which leads to speaking to Anna a little bit more. And I wanted to ask you about some of your tips with engagement, because I was thinking for myself, and I know you said it the other day, listening to somebody talk or listening to a teacher or listening in whatever it is, a workshop, people listening to us now, what makes us listen and what makes us stop listening? And I think so often, even myself, when I was a teacher, I expected the kids to listen. You all need to be listening. I wanted to talk to you a bit about what you want to tell us that works for you.
About engagement. Okay, well, first thing, I wonder if there's somebody in our audience who would like to just, if I say the word student engagement, what comes to your mind? What comes to mind if people talk about student engagement, and if we have any teachers out there, which I hope we do, if anybody would like to throw in a comment and tell us how do you, if you're in your class, what makes you think or what makes you know that your students are engaged?
So we're gonna have to wait a bit because there's a lag on
there's a lag on there
thing. So once it comes up, Jess will put it up on the screen.
Okay, but then let's go back, because Megs, I wanted to she was speaking this morning about like not circle time but register time, and I think we spoke about that before, but you haven't mentioned that now, have you?
Yes. Yeah, no, I didn't yet. So what I was just going to touch on also is once you've got your kids sort of in the moment, it's really great to try and connect to them, to just actually take, and I used to do it, and I know that Anna also has used it, and I'm sure Claire did as well, using register time to actually just step into your little humans' lives and just connect with them. So yes, it's going to take you a bit longer, but it's going to be worth it because they're going to just feel like you actually care. So I used to just, if it's as simple as saying, how are you? And letting them truly respond on how they are. Or what did you have for breakfast this morning? Or, with the younger ones, you can do simple things like, what's your favorite color? And then as they get older, you can change it up. But just taking a moment to connect with each and every child in your class, even if there's 25 of them, like if you can just take that moment to really connect and let them know that they're important to you.
Yes.
They are that much more likely to actually be receptive to what you have to teach them today.
Yes, because now they feel that you like them, you care about them, and that makes, as you said before, this is one of the biggest influences of student learning and engagement. Is when I'm loved, I will learn. And
and that's a nice little saying. I just wanted to mention some of the things people have said. So now you asked the question, what does student engagement mean? Doing, not listening. Eye contact. He who talks learns. Wait, there was more. Some of them aren't on my screen.
Switch on, sharing a concept.
Sharing a concept. There we go. That's a nice one.
Doing, not listening.
Doing, not listening.
So they're stealing some of your answers already, Anna.
I know my audience right now.
That's awesome, though. Okay, cool. So what can you tell us following on from that then?
Following on from that, my first thing is that student engagement, what is it? It is when students are doing stuff. We tend to think that students are engaged when they look and they listen to you. But I was one of those students. I would sit in class, look my teacher in the eye, and just be off drifting somewhere. So I look engaged, but I wasn't engaged in the learning because usually my teacher was talking at me. So student engagement, it's like when they are actually doing something. And I was crying in my class one day saying, how am I ever going to get this right? Because I didn't like teaching at the beginning because I wasn't getting it right. And someone helped me and made me understand that when you stop talking to the kids, when you stop talking at them and you get them doing stuff, the engagement goes up and the learning starts. So we have a rule of about 9 minutes out of every 40 minutes is your talking time. You've got 9 minutes. The rest, the students have to talk. They have to share their ideas. They have to ask questions. So that is for me what student engagement is and kind of isn't.
Yeah, which makes sense. And it's funny because even myself, somebody who did teach, I did do a lot of talking because I felt like, well, I've got to share this knowledge with these kids. And I love how you've said it because I'll admit to my mistakes because I never got a chance to redo it, but I'm trying it now with my kids. And I can see when she asks questions and when I just ask her a little bit of questions and let her do, it's a big difference. What sort of practical tips then can you give teachers today that are watching? Like, these are some things you can start doing from tomorrow. Okay, so I might step on some toes, but I'm not really, I don't like to conform. So the first thing for me is that when we are in a class, we tend to think, okay, I'm teaching grade 5. So what my mentor taught me is you don't teach a grade, you teach children. So it doesn't matter what level they are at. We need to go and pick them up and teach them on the level that they are at. Because if we are going to push a grade 5 curriculum to students who really need to be learning on a grade 1 or grade 2 level, everything is going to be, above them. So I do understand that we have a curriculum to follow in most of the cases because we have tests. And I know in South Africa, we rely heavily on tests and exams. So my question is, if you are teaching a student a grade 5 curriculum that's developmentally not ready for that, how is he going to score on the test? Or if you teach him on a level where he's learning at, where he needs to learn, how will he score on the test? Is it going to be different? Now, I believe that success breeds success. So I believe if you teach a student at the level where he is supposed to learn, he's going to feel successful. He's going to be more engaged. He's going to want to learn more. And I almost want to guarantee that he's going to then perform better on those tests, which we have to give them. I'm going to be honest with you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No. Please go.
I was going to say, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not teaching now, but if I was listening to this as a teacher, instantly I would feel a little bit stressed because I honestly wouldn't know how to do that because I had my list of things I had to teach. At the end of the term, all the kids had to be at a certain level and I had to try and get them there. They weren't all at that level, But how do you, I want to know from you, how do you teach the kids at those different levels? I think that's the hard part. How do we do that?
How do we do that? Okay, so I mean that we have different teaching strategies, and yes, ability grouping. But if students explore their learning, if you put the learning back to them, then I almost want to say if each student is learning from his questions that he is asking, it's inevitable that, I mean, learning will happen.
Yeah.
And if, you know, like, so that will ask that we get into things like reading and writing and math, because I have groups set up with different tasks along the same outcome. So if I know I have to teach 3-digit multiplication, but I've got a student who can't add properly, why am I going to ask him to do 3-digit multiplication? So I'm going to make sure that there's a question, there's something for him to do physically with his hands to work on that repeated addition that will maybe lead into. It does ask organizational skills, and it does ask you to rethink how you organize your class in terms of seating, whether you're going to keep all your desks or throw some of them out. Are they going to work on the floor? So it really does ask us to think, for a lot of us, not so much out of the box. For some of us, a little bit, and for some of us, maybe completely out of the box.
And I think for me, when I was teaching, that would have been too out of the box for me. Now it makes sense, because that's how I would want to teach now. But then, but that's why it's a process. It's a process, and I think baby steps.
It definitely,
like no classroom will just become that way. Yeah,
no,
overnight.
and the whole thing about engagement, it's got so many layers. There are so many things, small things that you can set up, like, so you asked for practical tips. Small things that you can do immediately is have, number one, a visual schedule. What are we going to do today? Have that up visually. Kids want to know, what do I need to do to get out of here? Okay, and if they know I need to do this, this, and this, and then I'm free, that's already, it takes their mind out of that wondering what's coming next, what do I have to do? Okay, then I would say have a routine. So if I teach math, and I asked this in the group before, I asked some of my teacher friends, what are the positive things that you do in your class that results in good student engagement? And a lot came back saying routine. How we line up is a routine. How we get the pencils is a routine. So when we start teaching math, for instance, have that math routine, because immediately what happens, I know I'm going to do a multiplication song, then I know I'm going to work with my hundreds chart, then I know I'm going to do my basic facts. So I'm going to immediately almost feel successful because I know what I have to do.
Oh, sorry, I'm just going to jump in.
Yeah.
Sorry. I have
Please
to say,
do.
I love how it just all links back so much to even just the conscious parenting of just the basics, like the basic building blocks of connection, of routine, of boundaries, of predictability. And when you have all of those foundations in place, both with parenting and with teaching, things kind of just fall into place after that. There's not that much else that needs to be done when you've got that foundation of trust, and the kids are feeling safe and respected, and they know their routine, and they're feeling all those good things, and things just fall into place. And it's the same with conscious parenting.
Yeah, exactly. And I see here Colleen says differentiation will happen by the child himself if we get them to do the discovering, just like you're saying.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad we're having the conversation, because I think, you can tell me at home, teachers who are watching, not every school is like this. And I loved the schools I worked at. I loved the schools I worked at. But we were very much led by the system, which wasn't the school. It was the system of, this is where the kids need to be. And I knew some of the kids weren't there, but I didn't know how to get them there. So I think that's where the change will eventually come. But that's why we're having these discussions, to make people think broader, maybe.
I think, and I mean, I came to the UAE where I was introduced to different ways of thinking. And I was really, really fortunate. I mean, she's watching, but I've always said my mentor, I owe my career to this lady, because she literally picked me up from the floor, and every day she'd give me a small little something, implement this, do this. And it's like you said, it's those baby steps. It doesn't happen overnight.
No. And then Anna, can I put you on the spot? when you come to South Africa, is that what you're hoping to do for teachers? Sorry if I've never asked you this. Is it what you're hoping? Am I asking you too soon?
No,
because
you're
maybe
not
there are
asking me
teachers
too
watching
soon.
that would like that. You can
Yeah.
tell us in
I'm
the
coming
comments, would you
home.
like
I'm coming
that?
home. I'm coming home in July, and I probably about 4 years ago, I joked with my mum. I was lying under my duvet. She said to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm planning a revolution." She said, "What are you?" I said, "I'm going to take over this education department," and I'm saying that in jest. But I do think that education in South Africa, we need an injection of new ideas. Am I the only one? No, there are many of us out there. There are many people who are already doing it. But I think there's little pockets of excellence. So it's getting that excellence shared across. Now, one of the strategies that we would have had at our school is like, Claire, if I know you're doing something excellent, I'm going to say to everybody, hey guys, if you want to know how to do this really well, go to Clare and go to this for Megs. It's like just getting everybody to work together and everybody to take ownership of the students' engagement and of their growth. Because the thing is, a lot of teachers, and even here, everywhere, teachers is like, oh, they're not progressing because of the students. The problem is always the students. And this frustrates me so much. And dear teachers at home, please don't be upset with me. I don't mean anything by this, but we're not going to change those external factors. No. We need to look at what we can do differently. So class sizes are not going to change. Exactly. And in the end, I mean, there are ways to tick those curriculum boxes. I don't teach English and then I teach science. I teach and then, while we're reading a science text, we'll discuss it. This is an information text. What can I see in here? Oh, it's got a heading and all of this, but I'm doing science, but I'm doing English because you cannot separate them. And because we try to put life into these little boxes, education and learning doesn't flow.
Yeah, and I feel like, because I remember when I studied, we did a lot of integrative learning, and I learned a lot of these ways, but it's difficult from studying, going into a system that's been working the way it's been working for 30 years, and I couldn't come in and step on toes, and they weren't wrong, they were doing it differently, but I saw it differently, but I couldn't do it. So I feel like over time, it will change, but it will take time. I don't know.
It will take time. I do think though that COVID might have been a blessing.
A catalyst.
To force us to think differently, because now, I mean, we heard all sorts of talks, but I do think education and the whole world, so many things have changed and so many things we've been forced to think differently. I'm really hoping that education, especially in South Africa, will be one of those things where and like I said, again, there are pockets of excellence. I know amazing teachers. So
exactly. And I also feel like I know a lot of teachers who are teaching a certain way, but even in a school, you might have 5 teachers teaching differently to everybody else. It's sometimes also a personal thing. I wanted to ask Megs, do you have anything to add there in terms of like the future of South African education, like where you see it going?
I completely agree with you. I think it's a big topic, and you could get me going days. Days. No. I really feel like, but I completely agree in the fact that there are pockets of excellence, which I have been blessed to be a part of, and to just witness. And I know that there are incredible teachers out there. But yes, I think what you said, Claire, is completely right in that the system is what it is. And the system itself is resistant to change. So I think that's what makes it tricky for everybody, because, and I mean, but I think we're getting there. I think there's groups of people that are, groups of people like ourselves that are open to, and just realizing that actually, like we said before when we were chatting, that kids are built to learn, and we just need to facilitate it.
They will learn if they're given the opportunities. So, and I also feel
Sorry, no, I wanted to say, if you facilitate the learning, so yes, I didn't touch on this yet, but starting that learning with a learning question. But a lot of times what happens in a class is that a teacher will ask a question, so blah blah, and then immediately the hands go up, and we tend to ask the first one with the hands up, or we cold call those ones who are not putting their hands up. So what are we
And
teaching
I used
the
to
kids?
ask what I knew I wanted them to answer, if that makes sense. Here's the answer, let me ask, instead of trying to get them to, you know what I mean? That's what I
that's
used to
nice.
do.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if it was a good thing or, sorry, carry on with what you were saying.
No. So Megs and I were talking. She said to me, please remember, and if I forget.
Yes.
So it's small things that we can do in our classes. And one of the things is if you ask a question, give students 30 seconds to think.
Ooh.
Give them 30 seconds to think, because a lot of the times they have to process your question. Sometimes they might have to translate it because they are learning in a language that is not their home language. So we have a strategy called think, pair, share. Think for 30 seconds, and then still you don't put your hand up because I'm not going to ask you. I'm going to ask you to turn to your friend and talk to your friend. So immediately what you are doing is you are asking every single student in the class to be engaged with that question. So he's going to talk to his friend, and it was so cute. I had a girl in my class who was struggling a little bit because her English, she was struggling with just the language barrier. And the kids know this, man. And when there's that trust and that relationship in the class, kids carry each other so beautifully. So they would like talk to her and whisper the answer in her ear. And then when I say, okay, share. So you think by yourself, you pair, you share, you talk with your friend, and then you share with the class what you were thinking. And they would say to me, Miss, Fatima has the answer. Okay, to encourage her to take part. And I just think sometimes as teachers, because we ask a question and we want to answer immediately, instead of just allowing students that moment, that moment to just think about it and process before they actually go on to answering. So that was one of the strategies.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
It leads me to something I didn't get to speak about that I really want to speak about. Sorry, that scream was so good. Sorry, it's stuck with me. So I wanted to just say two things. The one thing I've noticed, and you can tell me if this is happening in your schools and where you've worked, often we've got expectations from parents. We've got expectations from the system, so the government or the IEB or whatever it is. And we have this thing of, this is where kids need to be. And I think that for me was the big aha moment, was there's nowhere kids don't need to be anywhere. They just need to be who they are right now, because you could have a child in your class who's going to be an astronaut, and we never cover that. And he maybe never gets the opportunity to think about that if we don't allow him to think about that. Does that make sense?
100%.
That's how I'm feeling.
It makes sense. And it's especially in these times that we're living now, there's so much talk of, we are preparing children for jobs that don't exist yet, where they're going to have to use technologies that have not been invented.
Yeah.
So what are we teaching them? They can get all the answers in Google. We need to teach them to think. We need to teach them to question, to be inquisitive, to want to learn. Yeah. Because then if you can ask questions, then you can find things in Google.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's, we're forgetting often that we don't need to shove information. Kids don't need information shoved. They need to know how to think and how to create and how to become. Wow. Megs, do you want to add anything there?
No, I think I totally agree with you guys. I think a really good thing though to add in is to just chat around like positive, like, yes, we've given strategies around teaching, but what about like positive discipline, or because that's something that's always super tricky in a classroom in terms of, how do you, yes, we've gained engagement, but what about gaining, I don't want to say control for lack of a better word. How are we going to, sort of get the kids to
get that cooperation.
Cooperate. I think that's the right word.
And
for them to want to
do it. Without us forcing them to do it, which actually leads on to my point that I planned for today. So like, I'm used to now asking the questions, but now I've got to ask myself the question, Claire, what would you like to share? So this is my passion that I think about and talk about on a daily basis, is positive discipline, conscious discipline, and that's the whole point of starting the CPA. So I was going to share a story that it's a story that's now been changed because I hear things and then my brain changes it. So it's a different story to what it started as, but it's a story from positive discipline where one of the people there, see, I'm not about facts, I'm about the feeling afterwards. The idea. She said, let's say you have, you're in a school and you have children who have to line up after break. You can tell me in the comments if you have this. And let's say you have the typical maybe 5 kids who are always late. They're always straggling along. Everybody's ready to carry on and get to class. And these are the late ones who don't care. They want to be late. It's cool or whatever. And they asked the kids, they said, okay, so what do you think should happen to these kids? And the first thing that the kids were saying was they need to be punished. They must stay in at break next time. They mustn't be allowed to go out to break. And they said, okay, that's interesting. I hear what the teachers are saying. Now let me give it to you and ask you to give me solutions. So they said, what do you think we could tell these kids if we wanted them to give us solutions to the problem instead of punishment? And they said the kids sat for a while because they were like, well, this is a new concept. We don't come up with solutions. And they started thinking and they were like, oh, you know what? Why don't we take a timer with us to break? And when the timer goes off 5 minutes before the bell, we all start helping them and we remind them. And they came up with apparently like 10 solutions. And they said, let's vote on solutions. Let's try the solutions, see if they work. And they said just by doing that, they were involving all the kids. It wasn't now good kids against bad kids. It wasn't we know and you don't know. It was let's work together to solve a problem. Mm-hmm. And to me, that was an amazing story because it's critical thinking. Guys, let's solve the problems we have in our school. I've got a little wheel that Jess is going to bring up for us. It's also from Positive Discipline, and I've just created my own one. So it's something, those of you at home watching, and Megs and Anna, you can tell me, I used to go on break duty and the kids would all be playing. And the typical thing would be kids would come up and they would say, oh, he's done this or she's done that. And straight away I went into teacher mode. This is what you guys need to do. Go say sorry. Don't play with him. Go do this. Go do that. That was me. And I did do that. I never for once thought, why don't I ask the kids to come up with their own solution? So this is from Positive Discipline. It's up on the screen now. You could do this at your school, or you could do it in a different way. Just by, like we've been saying, ask a question. How do you think you can solve this problem? So here's some of the things you could do with your class. You could get them to role play solutions. This is a little game I teach parents when I do parent coaching. So you give them problems, or sorry, I'm talking so much, I'm like losing my words. And I've run out of water. You ask them for the problems that are happening, and then you say to them, what do you guys think we could use as a solution? And then in groups, they act out their solution, and maybe you have teams where they guess what they think the solution was, or they say whether they think it worked or not. But it's just something small to get kids thinking. How can I solve this problem? I don't know.
It empowers them to solve their problem. They don't have to run to you every time they're having a conflict. They can actually take a moment, and it teaches them to say, okay, well, what can I do about this? How can I solve this problem myself?
Exactly. And I found with my own daughters, 2 and 4 years old, I don't do this exact thing because they're too small to read and all of that, but we talk about solutions, and they give me solutions all the time. So they'll say, this happened at school, and I say, what do you think you could have done? Do you want to role play it with me? And my daughter loves it now. Mommy, let's pretend you're my friend and I'm you, and let's see what would have happened. And she just thinks all the time. Sorry, it's so annoying now that my voice is it's because I'm getting so excited. We've got Paula Jansen from Fear, and such a brilliant approach, team effort, the tribe working together. And I think often those of you watching, you might see it. You get those kids who are divided. I don't know if Anna, you and Meg saw that at school. You get the kids who don't want to get involved, and they don't want to be a part of what everyone's doing. And I feel like this is one way to encourage that.
To encourage them. I must say, I take a lot of time, and I spent like a lot of teachers in the first couple of weeks in school, they like to jump right into curriculum. And I'm like, no. I'm first going to build that relationship, and not only the relationship between me and the kids, but the relationship between the kids amongst themselves, because we are a team. And I say to them, you need to trust me here. You need to trust that I will do what I say and say what I do, but I need to build and facilitate building that relationship amongst themselves, because then they just move as a little bit better together. So
no, I completely agree. Sorry, my little one came in, I was like, oh. She's like, oh.
And I forgot what I was saying, so
sorry.
I just
Sorry, Megs, what did you want to add?
No, I just want to pick up on a comment here that just talks about, she says, COVID has made us take a step back and look at what the child needs emotionally to learn. teach them to cope with life, and then they will learn. And I think that is actually
Yes.
quite profound.
Amazing.
And I think that is just something that we need to just always, every morning almost as a teacher, to just remind yourself, like, take a step back and don't worry. Stop stressing about ticking the boxes and trying to get all the things done. I think it's so important for us actually to put the kids' emotional well-being first and foremost. And again,
our own.
like when you have and when you have those foundations in place, the learning will happen. The learning will naturally happen.
It naturally
And
happens.
The learning is
Want to
always
learn.
going to happen. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's
Even
just
if you
about
think kids are
creating
doing nothing, they're learning.
the
So,
space. No, absolutely.
yeah, creating that space.
Yeah,
I was
I
also
love
going
that
to add
comment.
something, because I work a lot with reparenting. That's like also one of my things I love to do all the time. And I think this comes into schooling for me when I look at my journey. A lot of what I did was based on the beliefs that I had from my schooling. And I think breaking beliefs has been a big eye-opener for me, where I realized it didn't have to be this way, or I didn't have to do or say things a certain way. And it's going back and uncovering those beliefs and realizing, you know what, kids, if a kid triggers me or if a kid triggers a teacher, wondering, like, is this really a problem? Like, this is a child in front of me. They are having a meltdown maybe, or I don't know, whatever problems you come across with the kids. Often we're triggered by the problems because I wouldn't have been allowed to do that at school, or when I was at school, I wouldn't have just said that to a teacher. But I think for me, I'm learning what kids really are, and they're not meant to be put in this box of you have to do, and these are the rules, and you have to look a certain way and act a certain way and be a certain way. And I think a lot of teachers are seeing that now. Kids are just little people. They need to be allowed to be those little people. Yeah.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, I wonder if we have any other questions coming through. I just want to check before we finish off. Is there anything else you guys want to add that we haven't touched on? There's so much stuff we could just talk about all day.
We could just go all day. I want a couple of things that also that were game changers for me in the class. So when children are off task, when I see, okay, so you are not engaged. There's a man. What is it called? Teach like a champion. He's got all these little hand signals, and as he's talking and having a discussion with the child, so let's say, Claire, my hand signal for you is rubbing my ear when you're off task. So I can continue what I'm doing and rub my ear, and that is a signal for you that you need to come in, because there are just, instead of stopping the class to redirect your behavior, because when I'm redirecting your behavior, everybody else is now free to do whatever they want because, Mrs. addressing Claire. So it's having those things like that. Or another strategy that I absolutely love, and I couldn't believe it. It's magic. We're lining up, we're walking in a line because we have to walk in lines at school. So I will say, I see Ali walking in a nice line. Immediately, it's a line like this because everybody wants to be that kid that is doing the right thing. And so if I say Ali is in a nice line, then everybody is following Ali's suit. Or I can see Zayed is ready to learn, and then everybody is doing what Zayed is doing so that they can also be ready to learn. So that's a brilliant strategy that we use. And the other thing that is, when you see a kid, like, let's say, for instance, running in the passage, we don't say to them, don't run. Because it's something about the brain. I'm not very clued up. You like the girls are all about the brain stuff, but something happens in the brain. If I say don't run, they just hear run. So instead of saying don't run, we just say walk.
Yeah.
And
I know we used to do a lot of those as well, and it's simple, but it changes that positive language. And I find using that with kids makes them think differently as well. Just like the questions, using positive language makes them think differently. And I think, I mean, I know when I taught in South African schools, that was kind of a norm around me. Positive language was, we didn't do a lot of like, don't do this, don't do that. It was, what do we want them to do? Yeah. So it's quite interesting. The one thing I wanted to touch on, and either of you can take it, it's something from when I was at school, and it's something I don't want for my kids. I was the kid who did want to do everything right, but to the point where I didn't know who I was. I just wanted I wanted these teachers to love me and to think I was good enough. And now I look back and I'm like, I almost betrayed who I really was for the teachers, because Does it make sense? I was trying to
Yes.
live up to this
Yeah, it makes
idea
total
that I
sense.
wish I hadn't. I don't want my kids to live up to an idea. I just want them to be who they are. And they
that's
don't have
because-
to be who they are or who they're not. You know what I mean?
I think that's when kids attach being loved to them doing something instead of, and this is why we say from the beginning of the year, when you build that relationship, I'm going to love you.
Yeah, no
And
matter
you're
what.
loved.
Yeah, and I think
You're
that
loved.
it comes down to creating a safe space where children understand
Yes.
that they're here to learn, and it's a
Yes.
process, and it's okay to make mistakes because that's how you learn.
Yes,
And
yes,
in
yes,
fact,
yes.
it's good to make mistakes. I mean, seriously, my daughter's teacher told her this year, at the beginning of the year, that she likes it when they make mistakes, and that they must like celebrate their mistakes. And it literally, that moment was actually life-changing for my daughter. And it doesn't help for me to say it. It helped for her teacher to tell her that it's good to make mistakes in this classroom. And it literally changed her life. And it just created a space where she felt free to learn how she learns. And that's okay. And it's phenomenal. Yeah. And then
I think
sorry.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I just wanted to say something before we finish, but let's finish this topic first. And then...
that goes in with Carol Dweck's growth mindset, where you can't do it yet, so it's okay if I can't do it because I'm gonna get to it eventually. And I know, but when we are so focused on getting it right, getting the right answer, then I attach love to or approval to getting it right and being smart.
Yeah.
And I think that leads on to what I was going to say. I think for me, what the future of education looks like is forgetting about the achievement, forgetting about who's best in the class, forgetting about the rewards and the trophies and the medals and the certificates. It doesn't mean anything. If a kid doesn't feel good enough, who cares what the principal says? Like, you know what I'm saying? To me, it's important that a kid feels that they have done their best and reached their best, and they shouldn't have to get that approval. That's how I feel. I feel like that's how it should be heading. Yeah.
Well, we use student levels and data. So your level, your reading level, your math level, or whatever in class, it's not a secret, because you need to know where you are. You need to know what you need to do to get better. Your friends need to know because they're going to encourage you.
That's amazing.
And that becomes to them like on a Thursday morning. We have this basic facts, 100 basic facts that they have to do every week to increase, to make them quicker. And every Thursday after doing that, we'll sit down on the carpet and we'll say, okay, so you had 30 last week, you have 35 this week. Yes, and we will all celebrate that. We don't celebrate only the 100.
Yeah.
If you get 0 in the beginning, that's okay. But next week you're going to get 1. And the week after that, you're going to get 4. So taking that reward or approval that is tied to an outcome.
And I think also just that comparison, because I think so often we say, like, you judge a fish, what is it again? You judge a fish
by its ability to climb a
tree. And I think you may have a kid in the class. I had kids that I taught in the class that were probably brilliant at something that I didn't know they were good at because it never came up. And I wish I'd given them that opportunity. I think I'm living with regrets. So I shouldn't be the one speaking because I'm not in the classroom anymore. But I'll get there. I'll get there with my kids. Megs, did you have something you wanted to say to end off with?
Yes, I'm assuming that the majority of people listening right now are teachers. And so I just wanted to say thank you. You guys are amazing. I think this past year teaching through COVID has been so difficult. And I just think that, if there's any teacher that feels unappreciated, please don't. You are phenomenal. And
please don't.
You've done the most fantastic job. And I just think, well done. I just
no, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I second that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, you jumped a bit. Sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to end off saying we actually have some prizes to give. So don't run away just yet. We have prizes, and just want to tell you how you can get hold of everyone. So if you guys can do that at the same time. So if you just tell me the prize that you've got and how people can get hold of you. So Megs, do you want to start? Sorry.
Sure. I just want to give away to one teacher, 3 coaching sessions. So basically it's just 3-hour sessions during which I will just coach you if you feel like you're not coping or like you want to improve your wellness or your life. or anything really in general, I'll just coach you for 3 sessions. It's just a package.
That's
And
amazing. Thank you, Megs.
You can get hold of me at www.bereal.coach, and then my Insta and Facebook handles are Be Real with Megs.
Thanks, Megs. And if you'd like to win that coaching prize, please put it in the comments. Tell us you really want it, and we'll do a draw next week. We'll tell you when now. And Anna, from you?
I have a coaching also for a teacher if they want to know some strategies, talk through to come and tell me where they're struggling in class, see how I can help them. That's one. And one seat to a math course. I'm going to be opening up math in about 2 weeks' time, helping teachers how to make that math a little bit more open-ended, or, so yes.
Oh, great.
That will be at the end of April.
End of April. Okay, so tell us if that's something that sounds interesting to you. Thank you. Okay, and then from me, I'm at rippleeffectparenting.coza, and we're giving away, myself and Jess, the other co-founder, for 2 schools, a 1-hour intro to positive discipline in the classroom. So if you want that, then just tell us in the comments as well. So thanks. Yeah, at the bottom there, Ripple Effect Parenting. So Jess wants to come on just to finish off. She's got something to add before we go. And we have something to announce.
Hi, can you hear me? Am I back?
Yes,
Am I around?
we can hear you.
Good.
You're back. You're there.
Okay. I was just having a nap in the background while you guys were going crazy. So the first thing I just wanted to add, Megs touched on it earlier in the chat, in that motherhood is really difficult, parenting is difficult, and I think, as a non-teacher, so I'm a parent, I'm not a teacher, I've never been a teacher. I do lecture, but I lecture adults, so it's quite different. It's a very different environment. But I think, as a parent, when you have a child, you're kind of programmed to love them, and they're going to make mistakes, and they're going to screw up, and they're going to drive you crazy, but you can't help but love them, because they'll come and give you a hug, and you just have to melt, and you have to forgive them. But as a teacher, you guys choose to love other people's children. And that is something that is so amazing. So as a non-teacher, as a parent whose child goes off and is with teachers, I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart, because this is, I would probably say, harder, because it's not programmed into your DNA to love these little kids. You do it just because you can. And that is incredible. That's absolutely incredible. And you are underpaid and just under, celebrated. So we need to celebrate all of you, and you're wonderful.
Yay.
And so thank you for every single day. Thank you for all of you. Well done.
Yeah.
You're amazing. And one of the things I wanted to again say, as a parent, you're all talking about, well, first of all, just the passion that you guys all speak with is incredible. We can just tell that how much you love this, and how much you want to make a difference, and how much this means to you. So there's no faking this here. You are like 100% in it. You want the kids to succeed, and you want to make all the systems work. And we were talking about, how the overall system is resistant to change. And I want to just touch on the fact that resistance is just that. It's resistance, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible. Because the entire world shut down last year. The whole world shut down. Yeah. Who would have ever imagined, like a couple months before that was possible? Yeah. So just thinking that, like, because it's resistant means I can't do it. If you are a teacher and you're thinking that this is something I want to do, this is something I want to learn more about, and this is something that I want to implement in my classroom, it's scary. I know it's scary, but leap. Do it, because it's going to start with you. Just do it. You've got amazing women here who will support you through it, and they are going to be the revolution. So don't shy away. We need you. We need you for the future of our children, and it is possible. If we can make the world shut down, then we can change the education system as a whole, and it only takes one tiny little thing. And just to end off from my side, when it comes to, Claire, you were talking about not having that connection between, your self-worth being connected to, have I done it good? And have I done it well enough? Am I succeeding? Are my results the best? I think one thing that we can really implement, a really small thing that everyone can do, whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a principal and you're working with your staff, with your faculty, anyone can do a really important part, which is what we teach in our positive discipline course, is focusing on the effort and not on the results.
Yes.
So when you go, it's not about the, and I can't remember who was talking, but one of you was saying about, if you've made progress this week, that's what matters. And feel good about that progress. Because I remember, and I don't mean any disrespect to my mom, she did it as a joke, but I would, if I came back home with a 98%, she would say, what happened to the other 2%? And it was a joke.
I think all parents did that joke.
They probably did, and it is. And some kids are more affected by it than others. So, I mean, I did take it in jest, but, at the same time, I'm now in my 30s and I'm a perfectionist. I don't like it when I get things wrong. And maybe, perhaps, when I was in school, if I was, if my effort was celebrated more so than my results, I would have done better. I would have felt better about myself. I would have felt better about failing, because we all fail, and that's fine. So focusing on effort and not the reward at the end of the day. And it doesn't have to be on the, like the curriculum. I mean, I don't know how school works and how you have to check your boxes, but it can be on, wow, Steve, you put something in the dustbin today. Thank you for that. I appreciate your effort. I noticed you. I saw you.
Yeah.
Just those little steps that you can do. The small things are going to make the hugest difference. And as a mom, I appreciate the teachers that do that, because it's just a shift in consciousness. It's not going to take extra effort. It's not going to take more time. It's just a little bit of a shift. So again, I just want to thank all of you for your amazing passion and the work you do every single day. I don't know how you do it. You are superhumans. You're all wonderful. And that's why we want to also, offer you these tools, because it might just help you do it in an easier, more efficient way that is not going to drive you crazy, because I'm pretty sure a lot of you want to go crazy at the end of the day. My sister-in-law is a teacher as well, and I know that she loves her kids, and it's exhausting every day. So so I've seen it in practice, and it's hard. You guys do a really hard job, so we want to make it as easy as possible for everyone involved.
Yes.
And following on from that, I just want to, because this is our last talk, first want to just thank our speakers today. Anna, Megs, thank you. Jess, thank you for doing the technical side. It's been amazing from all of you. Thank you to all the speakers we've had throughout the summit. And just to announce to all of you, we're going to have a bonus next week. And the bonus event is going to be as many of our founding members that we can get, telling you our journey and the shifts that we've made and how we're all on this journey together. Jess said it earlier, it's like one book and we're all on a different page, but we're reading the same book. We all here to help each other. So that's something big that we're really excited for. And there was something I was going to add at the end. No, the page. Yes. Sounds like reading, same page, different book, same book, different page. And then please share this talk, tell your friends, tell other teachers, tell your children's teachers if you're watching. And just watch what's coming up, because we're excited for this and we want you to be a part of it and to join us. So thank you. And thanks everyone.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a lovely evening.
Same.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you next week.